everyone, welcome to Tips and Joy. My name is Ayo and I share interview and career tips as well as Scrum Master tips. Today I'll be talking about story point estimation. I'll be sharing a lot about story point estimation, the different types of estimation. I'll be speaking on the 4 types of estimation and be showing an illustration of apps that you can use for story point estimation and also how to speak about it in an interview setting. Stay tuned, I'll jump right into it. I'll be sharing the most frequently used and the most frequently asked estimation type at the end of this video. So stay tuned and watch till the end. So in many agile teams, we use story points to estimate the size of the user stories. And these story points are usually estimated based on 3 things. The first one is the size of that particular story, like the volume of the story, how many lines of code, is required to complete that story. The next one is the complexity. How difficult is it? Is it easy? Is it hard? And then the last one is risk. Are we doing a lot of testing on this? Are we doing, not so much testing? So the development team or the Scrum team, they use these 3 factors to determine the size of each story. Now, there are different ways different teams do it. The first one I'll be speaking about is the relative size estimation. The relative size estimation, in this situation, you are comparing user stories together. So what people will do is, what the Scrum team will do is at the beginning of your session, your planning session, or whether you're having your estimation in the backlog refinement session, depending on the numerical scale the team uses. So some people use Fibonacci sequence, let's say is 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And the next number is always the sum of the previous numbers. Some people just use numerical values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So during that session, the team will identify like the easiest ticket, maybe that they can evaluate as a 1 based on what the 3 factors that I discussed. That's the size, the complexity, and the risk. So the effort used to develop the story. So they would look for the easiest ticket that they can call like a 1. And then for them to estimate the next ticket, they keep on comparing it to that particular ticket. So you have another story, and then if this one is a 1, what do we think this is? And the team will say maybe this is 3 times the work of this initial story. And that's how they keep on estimating. They might have a larger ticket and this is 5 times this particular ticket. So it will be 5 story points, 3 story points, and they keep on estimating. They can say, oh, this is the same as doing this work, so it's still a 1 story point. So that's how the relative size estimation is done. You are comparing the tickets to a reference ticket that the entire team has agreed upon. The next type of estimation is the bucket estimation. So we're grouping user stories together. So during the meeting, during the session where you're doing your estimation, they open up a collaboration to, let's say, whiteboard, Jamboard, or you use Miro, and then we evaluate each story and we group them together. So stories that we believe, or stories that the Scrum team believes requires the same effort, considering those 3 factors that I mentioned earlier, they're grouped together, and all the stories are grouped together with, based on the amount of effort it would take to complete each user story. This is kind of similar to relative size estimation, but this is called the bucket, estimation. The 4th and the final estimation type I'll be sharing in this video is the planning POKER estimation. And many teams use this estimation technique. And most times when you're asked in interviews, they want to hear about this estimation technique. So if you're, all within an office, they usually use like a deck of cards and you can use it to estimate, the user stories. But since most teams are online, there are many apps you can use for it. One of the apps is the planning POKER estimation, and I will show you very soon. For the planning POKER estimation technique, the team members are, estimating is a consensus type of estimation whereby we're all voting. And this technique is really, really good because it avoids any kind of bias, and people are not estimating based on what somebody else has said. So in some of the other estimation types, for example, if your senior developer is the first person that estimates a story and he probably calls this a 2-point story, and you maybe as a standard developer or junior developer, you don't want to go against your senior developer, or you just think that they know best. So everybody's just following the lead of that person. Whatever they say, whether they believe is a two or not, they are going to, score that ticket as that particular story. So the planning poker, which is a voting kind of estimation, avoids that kind of situation. So in this type of estimation, everybody is voting at the same time, which prevents any type of bias. People are, voting based on what they think is the effort required to complete this particular story. So when the development team or the scrum team, when they vote for, the efforts that will be used to complete a particular story, it's also discussed. For example, if the voting, maybe people have voted and we have twos, we have fives, and we have eights. In some teams, you hear that they just do the average. No, don't. This is not the purpose of the planning poker method. The planning poker method is for us to discuss, to understand people's point of view. Some people might have voted 8 because they feel like, we have to do so many things on that particular user story. But ideally, we might not have to do that. So you ask the person that voted 8, what do you think is 8? Can you share some, information on what you think will be required to complete this ticket? And by the time they start sharing the information, people that voted 2 might then realize that, oh, I'm probably underestimating, or maybe this person is actually overestimating. It allows for that discussion amongst the team, and then they keep on voting until they can reach a consensus, or they keep on discussing. In some teams, they just keep on discussing until everybody agrees that this is the particular number for that particular ticket. That discussion alone allows them to fully understand the ticket, ask as many questions as possible. Everybody's carried along and we can move forward. That's why I say it's one of the most popular estimation techniques. So the name of the app is called Plan a Poker right here. So I'm just going to click on the app now. Plan a Poker, and this is how it looks. So you will sign up. It's very easy to sign up. So let me just give an example. Io and tipsandjoy@gmail.com. Then I'll just look for a password. And then you can, customize it. So let's say the name of your team is, I don't know, the Avengers team or something like that. Avengers team. Do you want to enter stories in the room? Yes. Request confirmation when skipping stories. Yeah. So when you skip your stories, any confirmation. These are just like basic settings. Allow players to change votes after excursion. So you can decide on what you want. You can also use a timer. Then you create. So let's say my first story is, let's say, PLT 101. So you can write the story here. You can also give like a summary of the story, maybe add login page. But most times, I just write the name of the ticket so that people know what it is. Add login page, and then save and add new is when you're creating multiple stories. So ahead of the backlog refinement session, you can create all of these tickets down so that you're just scoring and moving on to the next one. Or you can also do it one by one as you guys start estimating tickets. So I'll just say save and close. I'll end the tour. So it has the Fibonacci sequence here for the most part. I usually do not use this, and then things hardly get to this. So you can also edit this when you go to settings. You can also edit the numbers that you want to show. And what you do here now is that you copy this link and share it with your entire team. When you share it to your entire team, they will be able to join this session. I have now sent this link here to my entire team, and then you can see somebody has joined. That's John. So you can see the names of the people that are now there, and then Kemi has joined also. So I would, I will click on start to begin voting. When I clicked on start, the next story appeared here. So we'll read the story. Usually, the people have like two screens open. So one screen is showing the user story, and maybe this link is sent to the team, and they can open it on their own personal systems. So you would read the story, explain all of it, and then when everybody's confident that they have what they need, they understand the story clearly, then people will start voting. So let's say I'm just going to give some examples here. You see Kemi has voted here, and then John has voted, and then you click on flip cards. When you click on flip cards, you'll be able to see their score. So now, you might have more people here. So imagine if like two people voted for 8, one person voted for 5. So I would ask maybe John or whoever voted for 8 again, why do you think this ticket is 8 points? Can you share how you think you're going to work on this ticket? Maybe Kemi is missing something, and go about it that way. Or I could ask Kemi and say, can you share more details about this ticket? What do you think John might have added that is not really necessary at this particular point? So that way you try, you encourage that discussion, so that you encourage that discussion until both of you agree and you're clear on the requirements, because that discussion will facilitate more questions, which will ensure better clarity on whatever user story that you're working on. So that's how you go about it. And some people will continue voting until everybody agrees. Or some people will, continue discussing, and then, maybe John might say, oh, I'm okay with 5. I probably thought something was included and it's not really included from the explanation. So I really like the planning poker because it allows discussion, allows the teams to ask questions to ensure that they're clear on everything, and ask questions from whatever stakeholder that is sharing details on the ticket, or ask questions from the product owner as well. So I really, really like it, and I encourage you to use it as well because it's really good. So you will click on finish voting, and then you can click on next story. So let's say I have another story here. Let's just say PLT 102. Save and add new. Let me just create another one, PLT 103. Save and close. So as I'm here now, I will click on next story, and it automatically goes to PLT 102. So it might be that maybe you want to skip the story. Probably you're not going to do it at this time, or from your discussion, maybe no work is required, or you just want to skip it. You just click on skip story, and it asks for that confirmation, and then you can move to the next story. So it's a very good app, the Planning Poker. It's really easy to use, and I find it really, really helpful. So that's it on using the Planning Poker app. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Many times people get confused about like what to use as estimation. What is 1? What is 2? What is 8? I've seen people do it this way, although personally I prefer combining the relative size estimation with the Planning Poker. That's how I personally like to do it. But I've also seen people do it this way. So where 1 story point is a day, and this is development team agreeing on what they consider as story points, 2 story points, 3 story points, 5 or 8. So this is just an example of how I've seen people do it. Thank you for watching till the end. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like, share with your friends, share in your groups, so that YouTube can continue to push out my content to more people. Thank you for your support. If you want to learn more about Scrum Master interview questions and answers, I'm going to drop playlist here, and practice so that you can get that job as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye.